City. Steve Swanson here with Saskatchewan News. It's truly an honor to address this auspicious crowd during your camp festivities. My guest today is Professor Hodgepodge, world-renowned scientist and researcher. Thank you. Hello, Edward, and greetings to all you camp participants. I take it that you are expanding your knowledge and invigorating your physical prowess in activities that expand your overall well-being. Professor, could you simplify that into something I can grasp? I just asked them, were they having a good time and were they learning anything? Sweet! I understand that you're involved in some research right now that actually affects every one of us. Could you share some of that with us? Why, certainly, Stephen. It would be my pleasure to elaborate on my hypothesis. Elaborate on your hypothesis? What? Look, Professor, we're not asking you to do surgery or something like that. Could you just share some of your research with us? Well, of course, Stephen, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Sweet! During my somewhat long and industrious career, I've been involved in the international lecture circuit. I've been involved in research that has impacted the scientific community, and I have addressed some of the smartest minds in the world. Fascinating. Indeed. And you can imagine, to my surprise, as I addressed a 4th grade science class, that I was asked a question by one of them and was completely stumped. No stinking way! Yes, it's true, Stephen. And I was asked the question, how much are you worth? And as I was doing a quick mental calculation of my overall assets, my stock portfolio values, and bringing that up to date, I looked into the girl's eyes, the 4th grader, and I could see that she wasn't talking about my monetary assets. She was talking about me as a person. So let me get this straight. A little 4th grader wanted to know what you were worth, and you were stumped? Precisely. And you see, I hadn't really thought about it much. Therefore, I didn't have an answer for her until I got in, dug into my research, and was able to answer this preponderance. And it's with that I shared with her, and what I'd like to share with you today. Sweet! I'm on pins and needles. Please clue us in on what you found. Well, it turns out that the United States Bureau of Chemistry and Soils has released calculations of exactly what composes the human body and minerals and chemicals. It's from those calculations that we can extrapolate the exact value of what we're worth. Extrapolate away, Professor. Looking at the following graphic, we can see that the human body consists of 65% oxygen, 18% carbon, 10% hydrogen, 3% nitrogen, 1.5% calcium, 1% phosphorus, 0.35% potassium, 0.25% sulfur, 0.15% sodium, 0.15% chlorine, 0.05% magnesium, 0.004% iron, 0.00004% iodine, and also trace amounts of fluorine, silicon, manganese, zinc, copper, aluminum, and arsenic. Fascinating. I feel smarter just seeing those figures. It stands to reason we're worth a fortune. You know, you would think so. However, taking into account the quantities and the current market values of these compositions, it totals up to just under $1. Shut the front door! Those calculations can't be true! Stephen, I can see that the front door is obviously in a closed position, so no effort is needed to shut it. And these calculations are accurate, or the U.S. Bureau of Soils and Chemistry would not have released them. Wow, Professor. My producer here at the studio always tells me I ain't worth 2 cents. I guess you might be right about that. Now, Stephen, don't get discouraged. You're worth more than you think. When I furthered my research to scientists in Tokyo, Japan, they have calculated that the human body and its coverage of skin, they've actually figured a way of measuring how much human skin is on the body. And it's calculated that there's between 14 and 18 square feet of skin on the human body. Now, if you calculate that on the modern price of cowhide on the market today, which is 25 cents per square foot, and you multiply that out, that brings the average person's skin value to $3.50. Now, when added to the dollar for the chemical and mineral total, you get a net worth of $4.50. Wow, Professor, that's really comforting to know. Well, that's about all the time we have for this segment. This is Steve Swanson reporting for Saskatchewan News, and a big thank you to Professor Hodgepodge. Excuse me, Stephen, I do have a question. We never did fully discuss the compensation of my appearance on your program today, and you know, flights and hotel accommodations, they're not cheap. Oh, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, Professor. Our producer here is going to pay you just about what you're worth. Back to you, Eddie.